Welcome, guys. I remembered to put my watch on today. These things would be great. I don't know. I've tried putting it next to my bed. I've tried putting it on. Turn on. I've tried putting it hanging on my office wall so that it's like directly in front of me, And no matter what, it doesn't seem like I can actually get any sort of I don't know. It just never seems like I can actually remember to wear the thing. My shirt looks so dark. I feel like I don't know why. Like my face looks incredibly flushed out, but like maybe the shirt tone, because I'm wearing like a gray shirt, like that's the tone my shirt actually is. A little bit brighter, I guess, but it just seems to like I don't know if it's like the green screen processing or what, but it seems to always like wash out my like the color of whatever I'm wearing or whatever. Like this is very dark, and it's not actually dark, but if I make this any brighter, like my face is like bleached out. But welcome. So today is Throwback Thursday. You know what that means. We're going to be talking about stuff having to do with memories and such. I did some research on the effect of meditation and memory and stuff like that. So we'll get into all that in a little bit. But I wanted to give you guys the chance to talk about whatever's going on with you and see, what's happening. Let me just throw this up in the meantime. There's the Discord community. There's the social links. So all that stuff right there for you. If I have any other links to share, I will share them. Today's been, or not today's been a weird week. That's what I was about to say. This week has been a weird week. It's just been, I don't know. I feel very out of sorts and out of control with my schedule and with things that are going on. Last couple of weeks, I was having a pretty good time. Even though like some of it was like stressful, I've been having a pretty decently okay time with like keeping a schedule, keeping a stream schedule, and like my workout and stuff like that. And my mind just seems very off lately, and I'm not sure what's behind that, but I'm hoping it's just the vibes of the week, stuff like that. Wanted to see. Yeah, I want to see what the. I thought there was something I wanted to share with my horoscope, but there's really nothing that I have to do with anything. But yeah. So welcome, guys. What's going on with everybody? How you doing? Anything that we've been talking about that you guys want to talk about or want to share? Want to, not whatever. Feel free to do so. I just been going through the week. And feeling vibes, enjoying as much as I can of what's going on. Let's see. I want to pick a same predicament every day, picking the soundtrack for what's going on. This is how off I've been. Like usually by now it looks really light because of my lighting. It looks very weird. But and my facial hair tends to look like red, I feel like, for some reason. But I haven't even shaved my head yet this week, or I haven't, like touched up my beard that much or whatever. And I was even doing a lot better with that and just keeping on top of that stuff. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Let's see. Melodic and future bass vibes is what it's called. Turn it up a little bit so that you can hear it. I had my Sorry, I felt like it was about to get very loud. I found on my YouTube video from the other day that somebody had put up a copyright claim against my opening and closing music, which I thought was funny because I created that. And I get annoyed with all these like I understand the reason behind it, but like it just bothers me. I filed a dispute with them yesterday because there was a loop that I use in my opening and closing credits to my episodes, and the underlying loop is what they disputed me against, and I just find it annoying that like you can buy a music program or you can buy something that is like create whatever you want with it, use it however you feel like, and like you see these people who use loops on like loop boards and things like that, and they go public. They have no problem with it. They're DJs. They stream on Twitch. They put up their stuff on YouTube or whatever, and like somebody just hits it with a copyright thing, and that just gets so annoying. It's like, just chill out, like the part of the song, like their song, it has that underlying layer, but it's like a part like it's not even, it's like a talking track or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's definitely not theirs, because that track, that loop that I used in my track is, a generic loop from this program that you have to like download a pack, and like you're free to use. Like it comes with no copyright restrictions at all. You're free to use it as much as possible. And what happens is you add layers to it and you do whatever you do with it. And they kept that track the same as mine, just like I did, but I added a bunch of stuff to it, so it sounds a lot different. But it just annoys me, man, when people go for the similarity stuff and all this other crap. I don't care if they use it. I don't give a shit. So, leave me alone. That's kind of what I feel like with it. If it comes out that it's their intellectual property, I feel like there's got to be some kind of ruling with that. Like if I downloaded your stuff from a loop program and I remade your beat or whatever, like if I edited it and I created my own thing and I made it mine, like I've altered the pitches, I've changed the beats, done all kinds of stuff with it, and it's not just the same song. If I ripped off your song, go for it. But like if it's just that portion of it, stop. Take a step back and realize that, other people are trying to do the same things you are. And if it's a song that you created that you want to make money on, then you have to understand that other people use that loop too. Like in my example, if somebody else were to use my, any bit or piece of my stuff that I've made, I really wouldn't care. I'm not like a music person or whatever. But if you are, then you should be designing your own beats and your own stuff like that and coming up with something else that's original to you that you can't claim that nobody's going to, violate your copyright, And you can't call copyright on a loop program unless it's their intellectual property and they change their agreement with the company that they use. But the company that they use did not email me. They didn't let me know of any change in policy. And, I feel like there has to be an agreement where like that stuff, if it's created under that conditions, then the stuff that was created under that conditions needs to stay copyright free, needs to stay free to use, So, feel free to let me know if I'm wrong. Tell me how you feel about it. But that was just my little spiel because it's just something that annoyed me because of everything that I'm trying to do. Like, I'm doing everything that I'm doing with the music that I incorporate and with the stuff that I do on an everyday basis in order to help people make their lives better. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it directly to make money off of it. I don't care if somebody else uses my thing or whatever. Like, if that ever became my job where like I created loops and beats for a living or whatever, that would be a different story, and I'd obviously want some compensation for that. So I respect that sort of thing, but like you can't call copyright on me if we both happen to use the same program and the same loop. You know what I mean? But let me know how you feel about it. Let me know what's up. That's why I love things like Pretzel.rocks. This is not an ad for them, but you know, I appreciate it. And as frustrated as I might get, I support their project because like I often get not upset, but I often get frustrated that there's very limited amounts of music that you can use with YouTube and streaming for different reasons. Like, it's none of the same rules. Some songs can be used for streaming that can't be used for YouTube, and vice versa. And I just think it's a little bit ridiculous. Like, I think it's kind of crazy. Either all or nothing. You know what I mean? And it just irks me. You know what I mean? If you limit it to mature only, for example, like if I want a PG-13 stream or something, and you know, I want to turn the mature filter so that it doesn't play any, you know, songs, because, you know, streaming in a stream like this, I don't want racism. I don't want hate speech. I don't want language that's going to, you know, come off as a different way, regardless of how anybody feels about it. There's certain things I don't want involved in my stream. So if I turn on mature, that just limits my content options even more, you know. But they do constantly send me updates and send me information that they, you know, are working with new independent labels all the time, and they're getting new artists to sign with them and do things like that and create music through them that we pay for because we subscribe to it, you know, or we, yeah, I'm on the pro level of it. So, you know, I don't have to do attributions, but as you can see, like up top on my stream there, I do have a lot of respect for the artists that make these songs. I didn't, you know, it takes a lot of time to create media. Just doing content creation for this channel and for, you know, for my YouTube the way I do, like, it takes up a lot of time, you know, and to you know, write out the information and to do the research and whatever. And I've made my own music stuff before, and the reason I don't do it professionally is I don't, you know, for me, it doesn't hold the value of the time that I have to put into it. I love music. I'm all about music. I respect artists for what they do. I respect people who for making music of all types, shapes, and sizes. But for me, it doesn't have enough. I don't know. For me, it's a hobby. You know what I mean? Like, if I create something, like the part that I use for my intro and outro of my my edited YouTube weekly podcast videos, that's all I have of that song. It's literally like a minute to a minute and a half of that song, and that's it. And I have the intent to one day go back and revisit it and make the rest of it, sure, but like that's not at the top of my list, so I don't do it. It'd be fun. It's a good time when I have time to do that, you know. But I do not. And that's what I think another reason why it irks me too is because I took, and I remember instead of like playing video games or doing something, I really wanted to make that track. And I felt good about it, and I felt very positive about it, and I felt like I was able to let my creativity flow. And, you know, it took me a while, and then I saved it. I was proud of it. I've had it on my ringtone for almost a year. I have it on my message notifications. Now I have it on my stream, my podcast, and things like that. And I'm like, you know, for somebody to claim copyright, I find that offensive, because I'm like, bro, I put a lot of time into making just that one clip right there, you know? So it's a little irritating. But it is what it is. People do what they do. You know, if I got to change it, I got to change it, although I don't believe I should have to. But if I do end up having to change it, I'm going to make it known. You know, I can send them copies of the files. I can send them copies of previously used YouTube clips and things like that. I can send them the program information. I can send them the copyright information for it. All of that good stuff. I can send them everything to let them know everything on my end's legit, man, you know? But yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's just that creative avenue. Like, if you write a poem, and, you know, you go to post it or whatever, and somebody claims that because the line is the same in that poem, you can't use it. You know what I mean? That infringes on your, I feel like on your rights as a person, you know, that infringes on your creativity, you know, just because some things happen to be the same. You both liked the same thing or talked about the same topic. It shouldn't be a matter of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm undecided what I'm going to do for next week so far. I do plan on streaming, but I also might take it back either for a couple of days or for the entire week, or just continue doing what I've been doing and keep building it up. But I feel like I have to work in breaks once in a while from doing like the episodes as straight up as I do all the time, and involve maybe some gameplay or something like that, or, break weeks in between or something to give me a chance to catch up on my writing, to catch up on my blog posts, to catch up on editing if I fall behind for whatever reason, stuff like that. Nothing huge, just giving you guys the heads up on that. And seeing where that goes. Again, I'm undecided, but we'll see. Maybe we'll revisit it tomorrow, or the end of the week or whatever. What is today? Thursday? Yeah, today's Thursday. Throwback Thursday. Duh. I just spaced out for a hot minute. So yeah, I want to get into it before it gets too late to talk about the Throwback Thursday related stuff that I wanted to talk about when it came to meditation. So let me hit the record so we can... Not that type of getting going. This type. It's recording. So meditation and memories, what do they have to do with each other? There's a lot to do in the cognitive aspect of the brain with meditation in general. There's a lot that's been scientifically proven, and there's a lot of stuff that constantly comes out about why meditation is beneficial when it comes to your memory, your brain function, or whatever is going on in your mind, and can actually change the chemical makeup of your brain. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this segment of it and include that for this week's topic. And I wanted to kind of talk about my experience of what I remember going through with meditation as I was growing up in some cases, and something that's very near and dear to me, because it meant a lot. It meant a lot being the person that I am, and being the person that and being what I experienced through my childhood that I didn't really know. And that's kind of the point of this portion of the conversation, is to bring your awareness that you may already be meditating, or you may have already meditated in some aspects of the phrase and just not realized it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, just to bring your attention to it. I remember when I was a kid, I needed a lot of time to myself in my own environment. And we often thought that I was we always thought that I was an introvert. And to some degree I was very to myself in a lot of ways, but I was also very extroverted at the same time. So that tended to throw a lot of people off. But I would like to be by myself a lot in my own environment, surrounded by my own music most of the time, or nature itself. And that was really my hardcore go-to when it came to meditation: nature, music, and me. Of course, at the same time, I didn't realize that what I was doing in these situations of, collecting, like getting my own time and, just focusing on me, was that I was just meditating. I didn't realize that those were all different forms of meditation as I was growing up. I honestly just did it. There was this place growing up that I've talked about a few times, both on the podcast and on the channel before, and in my writings that are on my website, called we used to call it the Clay Pond when I grew up. And what it was it was like a rock quarry that owned a bunch of property around it, and they used to dig into, and sometimes like dynamite and stuff like that, these big mountainous hills of we didn't know what else to call it, so it was like clay and rock and stone and stuff like that. But when they reached like a really hard area to dig into, they would blow it up with dynamite, and that's how they would collect the rock from it or whatever. But they would make gravel with all these materials that they collected. So there was two huge like crater type things in the middle of a wooded area, right? And these things were like kind of like in a figure eight. I always remember. I always thought that was just weird. There was like a big old figure eight. Let me actually take a second and see if I can pull it up. Gotta get the. I'm trying to pull it up on Google Maps so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. Let's do. Okay, so that was my house. Okay, so let's see if we can get this on a little view here. So this is the rock quarry right here. This whole big area of land. As you can see, there's a path that leads from the rock quarry all the way into the clay pond. There's a little pond over here. There's a big. This used to be a big mountainous area right here, and it. Sorry. Hi. This used to be a big mountainous area where we used to go like snowboarding and sleigh riding and stuff like that, which used to be pretty cool. And right here is this this was like a big mountain. So I don't know if it'll show it that well, but if you zoom in, the mountain actually slopes down. So where it comes from up here is actually like a ridge that you can step up. It's probably like a 3-4 foot ridge that you can climb up a little bit. And then from here all the way down to here, it's just like a hill all the way down. And it goes into this little ponded wooded area, and this is like one of the fishing areas. There's a pipe here that drains water out. There's a pipe here that goes between these two clay ponds. This looks like the water may have something happened to it. I don't know. But this used to be also a big, huge thing full of water. And from what it looks like traveling around this, or maybe it's, yeah, because this I think this changed terrain, because this whole area right here, right from, here and down here used to be one big just circle. You can see it where it has like a trail that goes around. It's surrounded by woods and the creek, and there's plenty of woods in between where the houses are and stuff like that. That's actually like a decent distance worth of woods, So now that you have the visual of that area, it's a little bit easier to express what it was. It was a clay pond, and so. I forgot where it was. So yeah, there was those two huge craters, and then where those bodies of water were, it was like a figure eight almost. And then off to the side of it would be like these other like clay hills or rock hills or whatever. And in the back would be like these way bigger hills. And we always used to go back there to play, jump, climb, run around, ride our bikes, do all this other stuff. Like I said, in the wintertime, we would use those hills for sleigh riding and for snowboarding and things like that. So there, it was all in the middle of this like wooded area, and it was really beautiful. Like from the view, you can't really see it, but it was really a beautiful place. I remember I would ride my bike through the woods. And the woods themselves were an adventure all on their own. and only like the most elite of us knew the trails like the back of our hand. I got to a point where I was pretty sure that I could ride at full speed with my eyes closed through these woods, but I didn't, because I'm also very clumsy. So but it was fun. It was adventurous. You got to know every little bit of these woods because I spent so much time back there. Even got so good at the like riding my bike up the side of the mountains. And when I say up, I mean these were easily 30+ foot hills. So you got to figure I'm 6'5". That's a bunch of me standing on top of each other. You know what I mean? So, and they're smaller now. Like in that picture, they're a lot smaller than they used to look like. I want to like look and see if I can find imagery from like 20, 30 years ago and see what it looked like. But, over the years, the landscape definitely changed, but I remember riding up these hills, and that was an accomplishment to work for that. You had to start from one side of the woods and ride full force to get all the way up these hills. And there was particular ways you had to go because your bike tires could get stuck. You can run over a rock and that ruins your momentum or whatever. And you started to recognize all these different ways, right? And it was just a magical place for me in my memory in my childhood. I remember that one day I just started going there on my own. Like I started going there with friends and family and things like that. And my brothers and sisters would go back there all the time. And it was like a hangout spot because we were in the country, we were in like the woods type of area, and there wasn't really a whole lot else to do besides just get into trouble or go there, And I remember I started going there on my own one day. I got out of school and I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go hang out with anybody, but I do want to just hang out and just vibe with myself for a while. So I went there on my own with my Walkman, eventually a Discman with the 30-second skip protection for those old ones who know. I always thought that was funny, especially looking back on it. Like you bought these things and you're like, wow, that's guaranteed. Every track is 30 seconds skip free. Yeah, that's what we had to deal with. But I would literally spend my whole day back there connected to nature, surrounded by the creek, the woods, the rock quarry itself was very close, but not close enough to bother us. And most of the time it was so covered by trees and woods that you didn't even know it was there. Like even on the map that I showed you, where that little tiny waterway was and that area that I told you the big mountains were, like it was so covered by terrain that you didn't even see the rock quarry there. You didn't even hear it there. Like if all of the machines were working and the factory was running and things like that, you might have heard like a humming in the background, but it wasn't much more than that, And so, there was, like I said, you're surrounded by the creek, the woods, the quarry itself, and there was so much for a mind like mine to do. Climbing, running, riding my bike, fishing, exploring, the list goes on, skateboarding and all this other stuff, just climbing trees and all this stuff, If we went into the quarry area, there was plenty of trouble to get into. Of course, don't tell anybody. But it stands out as a place where one second I would climb these massive clay hills, and the next we were in the middle of the woods with no sight of the clay pond itself even. Or we were crossing the Wappingers Creek or swimming in it or whatever. The creek was clean. The clay pond water was not. So we didn't go in there often. And if we did fish, we usually didn't like eat any of the fish from there. It was all from the creek that was behind it because the creek water was clean and clear. But it was a magical place. You could hide away or be out in the open. You could switch your interest to be whatever you wanted to. You like whatever. If you had a split thought of like, okay, now I don't want anybody to find me, you can do that. Or if you had a thought of like, all right, I'm done climbing. I want to just lay in the woods and listen to the birds. You could do that. And it was awesome. Like there's no way I can possibly quantify it in words and phrases. It was awesome. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was 100% my main source of meditation back in those days. When I began going less because of whatever, growing up, work, girls, whatever, I felt that disconnection, and I'm that was something that I'm only now is realizing that was there. Literally at the time of writing my notes down for this episode, I was looking back on this memory and I was like, wow, that makes sense, because I had a very hard time at a certain point in my high school to my college career, and that was the time when I stopped going back there. That was the time when I stopped giving myself this connection. I felt that connection that I only realized was there, going back to what I said a minute ago. And around that time, I started smoking weed. I started going to more than going to I started smoking weed more than going to my place, which was that clay pond. I started forgetting that it was back there. I remember that I would look at the border of the woods from my house and think, damn, those were good days, you know? And I neglected to realize that those days could have continued, or I could have just found new woods depending on where I lived, where I was. And, it wasn't something that I had to get rid of, but it was something that I kind of forgot about because life got in the way. So, as I was writing this, I felt a connection to that again. And I wrote to myself, I said, matter of fact, I think that's what I'll be doing with this year. That's what I'll be doing with this around late spring until we can't anymore. I want to bring my kids to experience that important connection with nature and self and all these vibes and all these feelings and all these things. That openness, that one with nature that you can only feel while you're in nature. I have so many fond memories of that place that even the bad memories from there are good. There's so many that I could talk about. I feel like that's better saved for another time. But, ex-girlfriends being brought there, or, friends that I'm not friends with anymore for whatever particular reason, or like if we got hurt back there or something like that. There's so many quote unquote bad memories that even those are good times because of the environment that it was. And so, I want to share that with my kids. Like I was just saying, I wrote it very convolutedly. I don't know why, but I want to share that connection with my kids and expose them to that, because it's very important to feel a base and a sense of calm and relaxation and, and I think that's very important to introduce into their lives. I remember we did go hiking once or twice before, but I want to make it like a way more common thing. I want them to know and to be fluent in going into the woods and hanging out and having, that connection to it. We're in a different environment where we live now, but if we ever did live in the country or have a big yard that had woods behind it or something like that, that would be a dream for me. But it's also something I'd want them to be connected with as well. So that was just one of my major memories of taking time for myself and really communing with nature and hanging out and just vibing and enjoying those meditational moments where I can still envision the peace that I had with the scenery that was surrounding me, with my Walkman headphones on, those really uncomfortable cheap metal ones, and I just remember so many good vibes from that area, and just it stuck, and I wish that I could have taken more advantage of that back in the day and realized what I was actually going through, what I was feeling, and what that was, but I feel like it's kind of my way of being able to pass it on, if that makes any sense. I wrote a note that I think got mixed up somewhere or whatever. Oh, yeah, okay. So to go on to another portion of my past that I remember with meditation, we talked about a candle method before of meditation. And that I used to do something along the lines of that. I didn't really know what it was, but it was, it was one of the ways we talk about, one of the wacky ways that people meditate. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I remember a movie saying that be careful when you look into a flame, or be careful when you look deep into a flame. You can see its spirit, its soul, if you look deep enough. And it was like a warning to the person not to stare into the flame. I forgot what movie it was. I don't remember. But it was like basically saying that invites like bad luck or demons or something. And I was thoroughly intrigued, to say the least. I wanted to see what that was about, if anything. And so I lit a candle and stared into the flame, and I imagined the fire dancing as though it had like a human-like form. And I observed it moving with the slightest change in the breeze of the air that was surrounding us, or simply just doing whatever it wanted to do, even if the air was stagnant. I didn't realize that those moments were a form of meditation. They talked a lot about trancing in and seeing things and hearing things and feeling your perceptions switch and change and play games with you because now it's free. And that's what it was doing. I was envisioning different things, and I was experiencing a different connection with the fire than just that it's a fire on a candle, I didn't realize those moments were a form of meditation. I honestly felt weird about doing it, but I also at the same time did it, so I obviously didn't care either. I remember using all kinds of different methods to try to meditate, but the issue was that I wasn't really understanding what meditation was about. I thought it was to find your inner power, and in that way that TV had and movies told me it was, that I'd end up being able to fly, or I'd all of a sudden know karate moves or something like that. Like, it was always a deep association with movies and TVs because that's what I based a lot of my childhood experience on, besides obviously going out and into nature. If I had done the work sooner or done the research and tried to meditate for myself, I honestly feel that I would be much further along in my path. I'd have a better understanding of myself and who I am than I had growing up, and get the chance to really know who I was. If only I knew what I was doing in those moments that I had felt so free and clear. That would have been such an amazing thing. And, honestly, it was an amazing thing. I got a gift from that. And the gift that I have is now that I've had those experiences, I can help my kids to understand these thoughts and perspectives, meditation, self-discovery, knowing what the good old days were while they're still happening. You know what I mean? That was a quote from The Office at one point, where at the last episode, Ed Helms, I think it was, said, I wish you knew that these were the golden times or the good old days when they're happening. But I guess that's what makes them the good old times or the golden days. And that's kind of what I felt while writing that portion of this. That's my gift, to be able to share my awareness with them and help them advance and grow in powerful and healthy ways, and help them establish their own connection. They don't have to go out to nature and feel that connection or whatever. When my one son runs around barefoot all the time, and if given the chance, he takes his shoes off outside and he runs around barefoot all the time. So, he forms his own connection with that, and it's a gift of mine to be able to talk to him and help him see what that connection is and what he's feeling from that. So what interactions does meditation have with memory? As I started talking about in the beginning of this portion of it, meditation can act as a way to tap into the ability to see beyond the limits of time. You can place yourself in a past memory or floating through an empty void and allowing a memory to take you with it. And in those moments, there are powerful opportunities to re-observe these moments. This is your chance. This is your chance to get a new understanding of what once was instead of what you thought it was. And I feel like I need to constantly talk about this. When I talk about memories and living in the past, I don't mean living in the past. I mean being consciously mindful of the past so that you can get a better understanding. I do it a lot as a portion of self-reflection to see situations that I've been through and situations that I feel a certain way about might have been something completely different. And I think I talked about this in a previous episode of the podcast when I talked about anger. Some of those situations are not how you remember them. They're how you interpreted them at that time. So the important part is to go back in time and really get a fresh perspective for yourself, right? And so my approach to this is to play those memories like a video game. Take you out of yourself. Go back in time and play the roles of others in the situation. An interesting tactic to get a different perspective, regardless of what the perspective is in relation to. It doesn't just have to be with the people involved either. Pretend to be a plant in the environment, just watching the situation happen, or an animal that was a part of this memory. You'd be surprised. It sounds ridiculous, but you'd be surprised at the type of stuff you can come up with when you're looking at it from the perspective of an animal or a plant that's just being there. Like, you figure a plant is very non-responsive. There's nothing really feeding in or going out or whatever. It's very non-responsive in most cases as we understand it to the environment. So it's just there. It's just there observing, right? Or like an animal. A cat doesn't understand. A dog doesn't understand. They understand certain emotional stressors and things like that, but they don't understand the context of an argument that you got into with your spouse. They just understand that you guys are upset with each other, right? So take that into account. Like, look at it from that perspective. And how would you feel, Every day there's more and more research about meditation and the overall functioning of the brain. 20 minutes a day can support and boost the cerebral cortex of the brain. The cortex deals with mental functions such as learning, concentration, and memory. Regular meditation increases blood flow to the brain, which leads to a stronger network of blood vessels in the cerebral cortex and reinforces memory capacity. That kind of stuff I feel like we already know. But there was an interesting study that I found in doing my research called the meditation effects on cognitive function and cerebral. In reading some of this stuff, I have such a hard time reiterating. I'm not good at reading from like a script. So in a study entitled Meditation Effects on Cognitive Function and Cerebral Blood Flow in Subjects with Memory Loss, a preliminary study, that's a part of the title. I will put the link. Let's see if I can get a copy of the link to throw up in the chat so you guys can check it out. It's right there. It was a study that attempted to determine if subjects with memory loss problems demonstrate changes in memory and cerebral blood flow after an 8-week meditation program. The results state, quote unquote, the meditation program resulted in significant increases in baseline CBF, that's cerebral blood flow. I'm having a hard time with that word. Cerebral blood flow ratios in the prefrontal, superior frontal, and superior parietal science. In baseline CBF ratios, that's cerebral blood flow ratios in the prefrontal, superior frontal, and superior parietal cortices. Scores on psychological tests of verbal fluency, trails B, and logical memory showed improvements after training. This preliminary study evaluated whether an 8-week meditation program resulted in improvements in neuropsychological function and differences in CBF, cerebral blood flow, in subjects with memory loss. So it's saying that it ended up that they found that these 8 weeks of only meditational practices increased the blood flow to their brain, and it helped the actual cognitive functioning of their brain. They go on to say, while the findings are encouraging, there are a number of limitations that can be addressed in future studies with more participants and more detailed analysis. In this portion of it, I expect any good study to include. It's kind of their way of saying, but hey, if we find out 10 years in the future that we're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And it's always that thing that, especially with stuff like this, you want to be very sure to give concrete evidence of what's going on. So it's their way of saying we're going to investigate this and we are going to look further into it. You know what I mean? As they should. It should never stop being tested and integrated and, be seen as a part of science. People often consider this stuff very metaphysical and very supernatural related, and it's not. There's science behind it. But yeah, that portion of it's called good science. I wanted to include that so that there's, a good amount of transparency involved. Again, that was from iospress.com, and it was a study based on the meditation effects of cognitive function and cerebral blood flow in subjects with memory loss. It was from a Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. So there are numerous other scholarly papers, medical journals, documentation, studies that support the same types of claims that meditation can do worlds of wonders in aiding for your overall cognitive ability, including decreasing memory loss and increasing recovery of some memories as well. A lot of studies have found that the more you meditate and the more you practice this sort of mindful practice, the more you unlock from your brain. And repressed memories or memories that have just gone away because the brain considered them as waste, come back, and you might find some little gems in there. You might find some scary stuff, which is something else that you can address in meditation to help that process. But it's nothing to be afraid of. It's all a part of self-discovery. It's a very interesting idea to think that such a simple thing can help in so many incalculable ways, or as Michael Scott says it, incalculable. And yet, as humans, we've barely begun digging into the surface of what potentialities the gift of meditation holds for us all. And even crazier, it's something that's right there, right in front of us, free of charge to use as we please. You literally can't get enough of it. I mean, you could, but you can't. But with that, I hope this has, given you guys some insight into some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with, the memory portion of things and talking about jumping into the past a little bit. Sorry. This is part of what comes along with being the parent of 3 kids. At the same time, just sometimes random stuff comes up that doesn't really matter. But, just communication back and forth about school and business stuff and stuff like that. So I apologize for taking that time. I appreciate you guys respecting that need of mine. But right now what we're going to do is get into some meditation before I have to rush up out of here. I'm starting up that meditation program again. I still don't have a phrase. I wasn't able to stop and consider a phrase. So we are going to get into it. We're going to pause this. We're going to hop into this. I was going to say it should just pop right up. There we go. We're going to go to continue. And we have enough time to do a full solid 10 minutes. Let's see. So we're going to let's talk to the fox first. We have a little time. A little time to hang out. Let's talk about meditation. How do I play? Nothing new. We've already been through a lot of this. excuse me. So I noticed that when we first came on Monday, was it? The sun was in the background. Then when we came on Tuesday, it was brighter out. The day was out. I don't remember what the position of the sun was yesterday or Tuesday. But I think that now it's even higher, which obviously provides a much better view of the environment and, you know, adds a little bit more to the magic of everything. Now, as far as I know, there's no exploration yet, and there's no real way to move around. There's just mainly the meditation portion of it. Maybe that's something you get as the game progresses. I don't know. But let's get into it with this. Change meditation. I actually can see this. Meditation involves repeating a word or a phrase as we place our awareness on the repeating vibrations of the sound. In time, it can help us to focus on the attention and ground of our mind. Now, I feel kind of funny about this one because I want to do it, but I feel as though it's not going to be the point of doing meditations with you guys on stream. So this might be something I save for myself, because like the phrase that I wanted to repeat to myself is remember that you're lucky. It's a phrase that was on my horoscope app, and it was just kind of cool to see that because I am lucky, and a lot of lucky things have happened in the past couple of days. Even though there's been a lot of bad stuff, a lot of lucky things have happened. So for me to sit here and repeat the words and phrases, or the phrase that is relative to me, remember that you're lucky, you know, remember that you're lucky, remember that you're lucky, and to reverberate that for a few minutes, I don't know if that would be like an intrusive method to, you know, project that to you guys. And so I want to make it kind of fair, you know. Plus, you guys, me repeating the phrase, remember that you're lucky, might kind of drive some people crazy. And plus, you know, it's something, if I take my headphones off and I say it out loud like they want you to, it's more of an honest reverberation of what I'm saying, you know, to feel the vibrations of it. So I think that's just something that I want to keep for myself. You know, and I highly encourage you guys to use this. If you guys want to see me use this, then I don't mind to, you know, involve this into you know, some meditations in the future. I just kind of feel like, you know, it's too suggestive almost for it's like a personal thing. And thought pages is a type of meditative journaling that I know about. That's it's a free writing practice that teaches you to express freely and openly and encourages you to sit with the silence when you encounter it. So like you literally just let your mind puke out onto the paper whenever it feels like there's something there, which is something that we can definitely do as well. But being that this may be the first couple of videos that are involved in people's practices, I want to explore these with everybody. But I would like to take more time to focus on like the full guided meditation that we were working on before. Maybe we'll do like the acceptance portion of it. So we did plain, we did the regular meditation, we did sensations, and we can do acceptance as a guided meditation, and we'll do it for 10 minutes. I like this one. Okay, so let's begin. Remember, they suggest that you put one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen, and just to practice feeling your abdomen expand and contract and keeping your hand pressed on your chest still. Um, but I have usually one hand on my abdomen so that I can pay attention to my breaths. But I also keep another hand on the keyboard to initiate that acceptance portion of it, where they talk about, pressing the key if you have a thought or anything like that. So let's get into it.
In this meditation, we're going to explore the nature of our awareness. All of us are aware constantly. There's no time when we're not aware. And what we experience through awareness is what our mind takes, and our mind defines it, describes it, and tells us whether what we're experiencing is good or bad. Awareness by its nature is open. It's a bit like a microphone that just takes in everything that's around it without recording it and without processing it. Awareness just experiences what's there. When we face discomfort in our life, our natural instinct is to run away from it or to solve it. Whenever we face anxiety, we want to not feel that anxiety. And it can end up in a vicious cycle where our desire to escape from something that causes discomfort will actually end up causing the discomfort. This is the nature of our mind, is to want to solve things, and it's doing it in the best interest of itself, which is to bring security and comfort. Close your eyes and allow your breath to fall back to its natural rhythm. Now bring to the surface an emotion that you feel uncomfortable with. It could be something in your life that is causing you some discomfort. It doesn't have to be big. It can be some small anxiety that you have, maybe some apprehension of something that's going to happen. Now, this discomfort that you have brought to the surface, just be aware of it. And when you're aware of it, you're open to it. You're not trying to change it. You're not resisting it. You're just allowing it to be there. Awareness is a bit like a microphone. It just listens and takes in everything that's around it without processing it or changing it in any way. Now, with awareness, just allow that discomfort just to sit with you and explore that discomfort with your awareness. Both discomfort and comfort, what we see as good and bad, at the base of it are feelings that we can sense, and it's these feelings that we are either resisting or we are pursuing. Just be aware of the feelings and just allow it to be there. Just allow this discomfort to sit with you. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to run away from it. All you are doing is just observing this discomfort. And to observe this discomfort just means to be aware of it. Just like how you were aware of the sensations of your breath before, how you were exploring the sensations before. Here, you're just going to explore this discomfort that is in your life without changing it, without resisting it, without trying to make it better. You're just allowing it to sit next to you and you're just observing it. There are no feelings that's with you permanently all the time. Feelings always come and go like waves. But when we observe them, and when we see the discomfort that's there in our lives, without resisting it or pursuing it or changing it, when you just observe it, then the way these feelings influence you will change in time. Even here in this meditation, if you're trying to do it correctly, if you're trying to do this meditation in a way to get a result, then just be aware of that desire and allow that to just sit with you. Once that discomfort is no longer there, then just remain in that silence and either observe one of your sensations or just stay with that awareness. I'll leave you to complete the rest of the meditation. Remember, all you're doing is you're bringing forward something about your life that you find uncomfortable, and you're not tackling anything big, just something small, and you are exploring that discomfort with your awareness. In some ways, you're saying yes to that discomfort, you're being open to that discomfort. You're not changing it, you're not resisting it, you're not encouraging it, you're just allowing it to be there, and you're simply just being aware of it. And when that discomfort disappears, you can just remain in that silence. If you need further guidance, just check the on-screen instructions.
I like that quote. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. And it went away. I at least have this on the stream VOD now. What do you think of plane? I love it. We'll do this later though, because it looks like it's gonna bring in a whole bunch of stuff. 8 meditations, a 4-day streak. So we can look into the other stuff if we need to or want to. But right now I have to get ready to go and pick up my son from school. So I think what I want to do is maybe start off the stream with the meditations after this point, or maybe possibly sorry, let me turn that down. Or maybe possibly and end off a little bit earlier on the stream so there can be a little bit of conversation, a little bit of decompression time, because it's hard to come back from a meditation session of any length, even if it's a minute or two, and jump right back into life, right? There's a difference, right? And I think even though I was very unfocused during this time, with the talking meditations, I get extremely, extremely unfocused. But this time, my eyes opened because I thought that somebody had messaged or whatever. And these are all part of the process. Like as far along as you can be. Like normally I can ignore these things, but if it was something that was present in my mind, then I addressed it. I let it go, and it's a process. It's just something that, it's a process. But guys, again, thank you very much for hanging out with me this whole entire week. Sorry, I'm just noticing some Steam issues. It appears on my computer. So thank you guys for being with me this week. This has been an incredibly unfocused week so far. Maybe tomorrow we'll fix it, maybe won't. But we will be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. for Fix It Friday, where we'll be talking about how to address some of the issues, and maybe you can do some things differently when it comes to trying to get a meditation practice going. And we can evolve to, making it work for you, however that needs to happen. So please feel free to hit me up on the socials. Again, !socials in the chat, !Discord, to get my information on where to communicate, where to find me. I had put it up here before. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, Friday morning, 10 a.m. Thanks again, guys.